Obviously, the election of the first Chinese American mayor in San Francisco is historic, particularly if you look at the history of Chinese American exclusion in San Francisco and in California. But the election was historic even actually before Ed Lee got into the race. So if you were to look at the field, I mean, it was an historic field. I think there might have been a lot of firsts who could have been elected. The first Latino mayor, the first openly gay mayor, the first Japanese American mayor. So it was a really diverse field of candidates. We had a mayoral forum on campus. It was the first one in May, actually, and so it sort of kicked off the season where they were doing these, 2-3 times a week. And you could just sense from that, early field of candidates, before even Ed Lee got into the race, that this was going to be an historic election. The city has gone through this period of divisiveness at City Hall. There was a lot of conflict between the mayor and the Board of Supervisors around a whole array of issues. And I think, Mayor Lee has worked effectively across the political spectrum. Part of that is his background. He was a civil rights lawyer. He was acting city administrator. So he actually worked with a lot of these different groups across the city. So he was able to work collaboratively with these various groups. And so some of the most contentious issues, actually, when he became acting mayor, he was able to resolve through consensus. So there was a consensus agreement that he was able to forge on the budget. It was a near consensus agreement around pension reform. And these are hotly contested issues in most cities, but he was able to forge these consensuses around these issues. So he's really had this ability to bridge some of these gaps in the city, which I think I think that is the sort of the remarkable opportunity that is before him as mayor. The challenge is, he was elected, he was only on about 44% of ballots. So in ranked choice voting, voters have an opportunity to rank their choices first, second, or third. And 56% of voters who voted in the election did not rank him first, second, or third. So what that means is, while he's able to bring the city together and forge these coalitions, it's a fragile coalition. So as he brings things, certainly a lot of the issues that will come up will be things that will go to the ballot. Can he, take this coalition that elected him mayor and really grow beyond that? I think is really the key issue for him. The biggest set of issues are around land use, economic development, and then improving the public schools. There's some huge development projects on the horizon, the California Pacific Medical Center development at Cathedral Hill. There's the redevelopment project in Bayview Hunters Point, and certainly the Central Subway, which is potentially will reshape Chinatown. Those are some of the big issues that will emerge. Certainly the budget is always a big issue because, frankly, the budget is just a statement of the city's priorities, and so that's typically a big issue for the city, particularly this year because public union contracts are due, and so those will be renegotiated. So these are all complex issues that can be highly divisive. They can pit ethnic communities against each other, different neighborhoods against each other, different economic interests against each other. So the challenge for the mayor is to try to hold together this broad coalition, which is very difficult in a city as politically sophisticated and diverse as San Francisco.